whole key to architecture, I think, really is the use of light and the use of form, because that's really what architecture is all about. At the end of the day, there's sort of like fundamental concepts that you have to have and understand about space. And in light, is one of the things that actually makes architecture. UCLA always talked about the architecture being part of the healing process. And that was our sort of mantra when we came in. But part of that is the staff. Because if the staff is happy, they actually perform better, and the patients feel it. The families feel it. Everybody feels it. So you can get an energy from a building that is really positive and in fact does participate in the healing.
On this new building, you're always going to be walking to light. And that's an important way of sort of elevating the sense of both security and comfort, the brightness. And the Pei's idea of making this into smaller structures that relate one to another so that you're not in a great repetitive architectural structure, I think is going to be very effective for patients and for their families to be in, as well as those of us who work there.
I think it's more than just beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. I think that based on all the input that the doctors and department heads gave IM, he and Didi's experience with Sinai in New York, and his absolute mastery at the use of light, which if you'll ask any attending physician or nurse, they will tell you that's a critical component in patients' well-being and increasing their ability to get out of the hospital quicker.
We did something even starting at Mount Sinai, which hospital architects thought was complete folly. We put the main corridors on the outside of the building, so that as you go to visit, to find your friend in his room, you can look out the window and you can see where you are. That was so successful at Mount Sinai. We did the same thing at UCLA, and the light that comes in, people always know where they are. I think that's part of what makes people come to visit people in the hospital. It's part of what makes the doctors and the nurses feel better about being in the building. And I think that's part of how architecture is part of the healing process.
I wasn't sure if it was real or if it was just our marketing, but we kept saying that there's going to be light and we're going to create this place of healing. And that's what all the brochures and all the talk were about, light and healing and light and healing. And there's times where I walk through here with people and unprovoked or without any prompting, they say things like, wow, the lighting in here is incredible. I mean, so it really was this wonderful blending of the best in medical care now with the absolute most sophisticated and yet very, very comfortable special facility.
I think that architecture it's making something together with your client. It's not an architect just making it and presenting it to the client, it's making it together. Working with UCLA, from the very top all the way down to the lowest levels of people that we work with was absolutely ideal, perfect. Everybody was really supporting what we wanted to do because the message really came from the top of the client side, that they understood what we were trying to bring to the project.
This just in, we received reports of a strong earthquake.
During the Northridge earthquake, steel frame buildings, in particular what we call steel moment frame buildings, a number of those buildings performed very poorly. For the engineering community, it was it was a shock. It was just a huge, huge shock.
This was our chance to replace the seismically damaged UCLA Medical Center with a facility that was not only safe, but that was really special for the patients.
Bringing in the team of IMPay, the Pay Partnership, as well as all the sub-consultants, that UCLA had made that very definite decision that they just didn't want to build a typical hospital.
The trends in architecture to go farther, to come up with more clever solutions, and to attain our basic goals, which are the safety, not only the vertical stability, but also the lateral stability of the building for earthquakes or winds and stuff. I think Pay Partnership has been good, and DD Pay has been excellent. I think the world of DD.
We were fortunate in that Dee had worked on Sinai and really understands hospital design. And when Jerry called the principals at Sinai, they couldn't stop raving about the practical aspect of Dee and IM's work on the hospital.
I'm Dr. Sheeman. I'm the Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery here.
I hope you like what you got.
I was just up in the operating room, in the ICUs and the floors, and it's just absolutely spectacular. I was just recruited from Boston, and this facility was part of the reason I decided.
You know, medicine is a very competitive business. To get the best staff, it can be really cutthroat. I mean, people are going and recruiting people all the time, and they promise them the facilities. And so anybody can give you the best lab, the best operating room, whatever. But when you combine that with a great building, people they're immediately convinced. They say, this is it, this is it.
I was visiting a patient the other day, an elderly lady playing music in her room, looking out the window. I said, how do you like the new hospital? And this was a woman who had been transitioned over from our old facility. And she looks at me and says, I don't feel sick anymore. And I was like, oh my God, we did it. We actually created a place of healing.
This is the beauty of IMPay and DD Pay. This is their trademark. This is what they do. So when you look at that hospital and how beautiful it is and how well it's functioning now, and the patients already whose lives have been saved, the lives have been altered because of the care they've gotten there, this is something we did. This group of people did something really special. We helped create one of the great hospitals in the world.
Thank you.